copains côte à côte.
Deux copains côte à côte, tu sais. Vois-tu, pas pire.
Ouais, j'ai vu ça avec Chris, là.
Chris, puis avec Chris qui?
Ouais.
Chris qui?
Austin.
Chris Austin. Oui, avec Chris, t'as vu Chris Austin?
Ouais.
La caméra est on, tu savais ça?
Oui, OK.
OK, ça c'est bon. La relation publique, Chris Austin, bon, pas en français. Tu devrais, ce site, la caméra, là,
Oui.
tu devrais donner ça à Tony. Tu sais, Tony qui travaille pour toi, qui prend des photos. Là.
Ben oui, ça a l'air à bien prendre des belles photos aussi.
Des belles photos. OK. La dernière fois qu'on a fait ce site, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, because I don't know if I'm going to get an elbow across, or you know what I mean. So we'll try this, English, French.
Qu'est-ce que tu veux?
And we'll just go on with the flow.
Yeah?
And see how it goes.
OK.
C'est bon. OK. Oh, I'm sorry. And you are?
Gatan Thomas.
Gatan.
Énergie Nouveau-Brunswick NBPower.
It's funny, the last time I did a headline, I put Gatan Boucher.
Ah.
Remember?
I like him too.
Yeah, I know. Olympic.
Yeah.
Okay, Charles, focus. Okay, so how was your week? How was your last couple of weeks?
Well, they were very busy. Very, very busy. I mean, we had a few interruptions, actually quite a few interruptions all over the province, and our crews delivered. I mean, they did a superb job.
We'll get to that later. They sure did. You were busy. Okay, where were you? Not last Saturday, the Saturday before.
I was home, and I was hearing the wind.
Watching hockey?
Howling.
No,
not even watching hockey. Watching Christmas movie with
Netflix?
my wife.
Netflix?
No, the Christmas on the Women channel.
Charlie Brown Christmas special?
No, it was actually a movie. We couldn't finish the movie.
Going to finish a movie. Okay, so you got a problem. You already look at him already, and we just started. Okay, so you had a problem, and what was it? You got the phone call.
Well, no, I actually don't need to have a phone call. We have some, actually we knew the storm was coming. We have a new model right now, an IBM base model where we can actually predict where the storm is going to hit. So we actually had 30 crews already pre-mobilized in the hardest hit area.
You could predict?
Yes, we could predict some of the storms.
How about you work, how much you make a year? That was one of the questions in the future. I'll ask you now. How much you make a year?
Well, my salary is public in the in the book. It's about $500,000.
So if CTV News paid you as a weatherman more than $500,000, so you could really focus and know where the storm is going to hit, would you take that job?
No, but what we're saying here is we can't predict exactly where the storm is going to hit, but we can predict the areas, okay, based on history. So we have models right now of all the previous storms, and the data is actually trended in the computer model, and it looks at the forecast, and depending on the winds, depending on the precipitation, they can actually forecast which area is going to be hit the hardest. And in this case, it was the Fredericton area, so we were able to pre-mobilize the crews ahead of the storm.
Can the public see that?
Well, they can see the information. I mean, we actually give some heads up on the progress of the storm. Like we have, for instance, asked people to be prepared for the storm, and the data is, it's obviously a very complicated software program. So yeah, the data is available. So
never mind Environment Canada. Just go to NBPower.
No, I think our website is actually designed to look at where the storm is going to be hit, but the Environment Canada is also a very reliable product. The storm data, Environment Canada cannot relate the number of outages or the areas the storm are going to hit on the power side. So it's really complementary of what Environment Canada has and the storm performance.
Okay, so I'm letting you talk. That's good. There's no editing here. That's the advantage. This is not CBC or CTV or Global or whatever. No editing. That's why I'm always in trouble. Okay, so you realized there was a problem. Did you come here in the head office?
No, I don't need to.
Is there a computer screen? Or?
No, we have our head of operations actually at the system operation in Marysville. And actually, management is monitoring, with the technology. So we still had, the availability of data. So I could see, as long as my cell phone was charged, and that was my challenge for the next 2 days, is to get the, keep the challenge the cell phone charged. But once the cell phone is charged, you can see what's going on.
So when did you realize there was a problem?
Oh, immediately when the storm started hitting. You know, we knew that we would have a number of disruptions. And for us, it hit around, I'm going to say, between 8 and 9 o'clock Saturday night.
Where the first hit that you realize, uh-oh, we have a problem? Actually,
it was before the power went out. I mean, you heard the winds. The winds were actually quite hard, and I saw, some things flying over in the neighborhood.
Where do you live anyway? North side?
I live on South Side, on Thornton and Court. And first indication for me actually was one of those recycle bin that start flying in front of my driveway.
Okay, then we realized we had a problem. What did you do last summer? What did NBPower do to take care of the trees last summer?
Well, what we've done, not just last summer, but over the last 4 years, we've actually doubled our budgets in terms of tree trimming, and we are on year 4 of a 7-year program. So this program is actually working well for us. The areas that have been cut have actually shown better reliability. There's about 3 more years to go before we do the whole province. It's a 7-year cycle. We spend tens of millions of dollars, and we believe that's the best way to actually mitigate the damage. However, this storm, the wind, from what I understand, the jet stream was very low. The wind was lower than normal, which means that it was actually making more damage. But more importantly, it was preceded by heavy precipitation. So the accumulation of water, and I actually went to see my grandson before the storm on Saturday night around supper time, and I could see a lot of wet fields, like all along the north side. They live on the north side. And I said, I hope the winds are not too strong tonight, because when you have an accumulation of wet, deep wet soil, the root system is actually weakened.
So it was a combination.
It was a perfect storm. Combination of wet ground and strong winds.
When you cut those trees, who's paying for that? Is it NBPower?
NBPower is hiring contractors, mostly contractors, to help us cut the trees. However, this is going through our costs, our yearly cost to the regulator, so our customers end up paying for tree trimming.
Are you going to campaign to lobby the city of Fredericton or any cities to cut their trees from the street?
Well, before Arthur, which is a few years ago, we actually had a lot of resistance for tree trimming, okay? And it took us a while before we get everybody on board so that we could reclaim our right-of-ways. Our right-of-ways are about 20 feet, 6 meter wide. And when we worked with the municipalities, there was a lot of reluctance at first. However, when they saw the damage of Arthur, everybody understood that it was required. Unfortunately, Arthur didn't hit the whole province. And therefore, the areas that were not affected, they said, well, we love our trees. And there is a balance that has to be made between, people loving their trees.
We'll get to that later.
However, the city of Fredericton and Rothsay and Quispamsis came right on board after the Arthur, and we got permission or a social license to actually cut more trees than we ever had in the past. And we've been working on that program in the last 4 years.
I just saw what's going on in California. I saw that on, this just coming up my head. I saw that on Twitter. It had a video, all the fire trucks lined up, and then somebody was filming. And there's a lot of trees with the wires in California.
Right.
So, I mean, if you come here at King Street and you cut all the trees,
right,
it's not going to look too good, not too shabby.
Well, the tree trimming professionals now, they actually do a very good job. The first year after we cut the sides of the trees, or we do half moons, they don't look very good the first year. But I can assure you that I've saw the artistry that has been done with some of our vegetation professionals. And now the trees, are providing the shadow that people want, but they are clearly over the lines and really safe.
Carlton Street.
Yeah.
Remember, they cut all the trees. That
yes.
was before. Was his name Hayes? What was his name?
David Hayes.
David Hayes.
Yeah.
But when the first guy that acknowledged me as a journalist, my God, time flies. That was how long ago?
I think you're not the only one. I think a lot of people like you, Charles.
It depends. It depends what we talk about. So far, so good. 9 years ago, and it was haze, and they cut all the trees. People were upset on Carleton Street. Yeah. And now I went to have a look. Yeah. It looks nice.
They look really nice. And actually, this is one of the things that the people were telling me. You know, after, you know, Fredericton alone had 4,000 trees down. And when we actually remove them and then do the more aggressive tree trimming, it actually, you know, within a couple of years, it looked almost like there was no trees that were cut.
Yeah, no, it's true. I will admit.
It's wonderful how nature is actually regrowing.
Who does the hole in the tree to make sure the wire goes across? Is it the city or is it?
Well, it really depends. If it's on our right-of-ways, it's our people. If they are outside our right-of-ways, then the city will be responsible in most cases to trim the trees.
So when you go around like this, you want to see where the damage is. Does NBPower have a helicopter?
Absolutely, but we couldn't fly it on Sunday morning because the winds were still too strong. So on Sunday, when we start seeing the damage, like about 100,000 customers had been out of power, the danger associated with wind were still very, very big, and therefore, you know, we had to assess slowly, carefully, because there were still trees flying all over the lines, and the issue is that the width of the right-of-ways, although they were cleared in many cases, being only 20 feet for distribution line, there were 40, 50-foot trees that actually fell on the line, and the lines are not designed to hold trees.
How many big power lines were damaged? Big power lines in the deep woods?
The deep woods, actually, we had less than 10 or around 10.
Where was that now?
And some were in this area, in the Fredericton area, a few in the Moncton, and a few in the Kent North area. But they were recovered, actually, mostly all within one day, within 24 hours. They were not really big issues. The hard work was the distribution line, where the right-of-ways are actually much smaller. The big power lines, we have 60 feet right-of-way. The smaller power lines, we only have 20 feet. So a 50-foot tree on a big power line, you know, is going to be cleared very quickly.
Okay, so this is the first one, and this is only November.
Well, the circumstances actually at this time of the year, when the soil was wet, and really, really wet, with 50 millimeters of rain across the province, and the strong winds, does actually make it more susceptible to uprooting trees than in the middle of the winter when you have 3 feet of snow and the ground is frozen.
Do you think we're going to have problems this winter?
I think that when the weather is colder, I think we have less problems in general. It's usually a combination of wet soil and strong winds or ice buildup.
Spraying. Did you spray a lot last summer?
Well, we spray, you know, according to our practices, you know, same thing year over years, mostly for transmission lines, and again, clearing the right-of-ways to ensure there's no trees on the lines.
Why is this happening so often right now? Like when we grew up, toi tu viens de...
Moi je viens de Tillérode, pas loin de Tracadie.
Tracadie, c'est pas un maudit Québec. Ok, ça, tu viens de Tracadie.
Un Acadien.
Un Acadien, good. Pas un Braillon, ça c'est Charles Fontaine. Comment ça se fait qu'on n'a pas des problèmes comme ceci? Je ne me souviens pas des problèmes comme ceci quand on était jeune.
Ouais. Mais quand on a grandi, les tempêtes étaient moins intenses. Il y en avait autant, mais ils étaient moins intenses. Par exemple, on me dit que chaque degré Celsius plus haut que la Terre se réchauffe, il y a à peu près 3% de plus d'humidité dans l'air. Et c'est l'humidité dans l'air qui crée ces tempêtes-là pour être plus intenses. Oui, on avait des grosses tempêtes de neige, oui, on avait des hivers de neige, mais des hivers de neige, là, normalement, c'est pas des hivers qui sont trop dangereuses pour nos lignes. Parce que le sol est gelé, la neige, ça bâtit pas de glace autour. Ce qui est plus dangereux pour nos lignes, c'est l'accumulation pour des longues durées, par exemple, l'accumulation de glace, ice buildups. So that's what causes damages from the ice storm.
Translation for the English people, climate change?
Well, climate change, for every degree Celsius that the Earth is warming up, there's 3% more moisture in the air, in the atmosphere, which means that when you get these storms, they're more intense because there's more precipitation. Again, all these issues we've had in the last few years, have been either strong winds after large accumulation of water, large precipitation, 25 to 50 to sometime 100 millimeter of water, which basically weakens the soil condition, and then when you have big winds after that, it actually topples the trees over the line. Or ice buildup. Ice buildup, when I was young, seemed to be like an inch, a half an inch.
You imagine if we did this bilingual, French and English all the time? My God, we'll never get no answer from you. You just go on and on and on.
Well, I can speak both languages. I'm proud of that, Charles. And you're proud too, right?
Oh oui, on est bien fiers. Peut-être qu'on peut inviter Michel Carrier ici. J'ai demandé pour une entrevue, Michel Carrier, il ne veut pas me parler. Charles, focus. OK. The telephone poles. Are they weaker these days than they were when we grew up?
They're actually stronger these days. I mean, the standards for those poles are much better.
Are you still buying that from Fredericton Junction?
We're buying them actually from Fredericton, some from Nova Scotia. I mean, the poles are. I think the latest contract is a Nova Scotia company.
So it's not, the poles are not to blame.
The poles are not to blame. The ice buildup, okay, when you designed the structures, they were designed for 2 inches, and we had like 4 inches on the ice storm. So yes, the poles didn't last as long. However, what we've done since then, we've put some what we call storm points. So we've put some guying and anchoring in between long strings of poles. So now you can't have 50 or 40 poles in a row falling down, because the way our lines are constructed is that the end poles are what holds the lines together. The poles in between are basically self-supported by the wire. So if you lose a corner guy, you actually could lose the whole 50 to 60 poles. So during the ice storm, we saw that there was some weak spots. We've actually added many storm points so that the cascading effect of poles will no longer be there.
We had trees. We had more trees in the old days. When you brought up in Tracadie, and I brought up in Mermoncourt or near Tracadie,
well,
we had more trees than now. How come we got so much problem?
Because the trees, okay, the poles will never be designed to support trees. The trees are just too heavy, and they come from all direction, and there's no way to really design a line to support trees. But what's happening is the actually accumulation of water, the precipitation. So you get like an inch or 2 inch or 3 inch of water, followed by stronger winds than we had before. Like the last storm, Charles, 129 kilometers per hour. It was recorded at some places.
I know.
That is not the kind of winds that I've used to see when I was a kid.
My final question before we go to Facebook. This should be good. Wires in the backyard. What's going on? Why we got so many wires in backyards running here? I seen pictures. I saw pictures of trees all over. Yeah. What's going on there? How come there's so many wires?
I don't know, 25, 30 years ago, we started to do backlot construction.
Why?
Subdivision. Well, because
subdivision, is that the secret?
Yes, mostly subdivision. Because, it seems to be easier to power both sides of the subdivision, okay, from the backlot construction. So it looks like
what's a backlot construction?
Mean that instead of building the lines on the roads, you build in the backyard. So the neighbors are separated by a power line. So from an efficiency of design, it made a lot of sense. The problem is, as people put fences, as people grow trees, people want to hide the wires and the poles in the backlot. 20, 30 years later,
Jungle Jim.
40 feet.
Jungle Thomas has to go there, and
the backyard becomes
power saw and everything.
The backyard becomes a bit of a jungle, and then there's really no easy access. So now you have all the lawns made, you have very tight restriction. So the work to actually sort these problems are all basically by hand. You can't bring boom trucks, you can't bring equipment down there easily, so you end up climbing poles, so it slows down the restoration. Actually, in rural areas where there are no backlot construction, we were actually able to restore distribution lines quicker in some cases than backlot construction in cities.
So cities, the bottom line is subdivision creates chaos.
Well, subdivision. I mean,
taxpayers is good for the property tax, but
well, it's it's like people say, why do we do underground? Well, imagine underground with the amount of precipitation.
We're getting to that later. Okay. Okay, here we go. Facebook. Now, I'm surprised. I think I want to change my name from Blogger. I left a comment on Blogger, a post. Nobody had any question.
Yeah.
But Facebook.
Yeah.
There were so many questions. I even had one person yesterday that stopped me, try not to peek. I had one person try to stop me on the Westbound Bridge.
Yeah.
I said, oh, you're going to see the CEO. Can you ask him this? Something about too big. I forgot. Yeah. I told her 10 words or less. So I'm going to ask the question. We'll try just go and you, whatever, and see what it is. I hope I survive this. But anyway, we'll give it a shot. Okay. Why push smart meters even though they are proven ineffective and a health hazard?
Well, first, they're not a health hazard. I mean, cell phones.
What's a smart meter anyway?
A smart meter is basically a meter.
You got one here?
Don't have one here, but it's a smart meter is a device to measure the consumption of electricity, but it also allows you to actually generate electricity. It allows you to actually measure the electricity as you consume it, and will be able to communicate to your phone, to your cell phone, through an apps, so that you can actually know when you're using power.
So is it a health hazard? What would it be a health hazard for?
Well, it's not. Like it's really
fake news?
Well, I don't get into that topic, but what I do give is facts. And the your cell phone, for instance, okay, using it close to your head,
radiation
would have much more impact than a smart meter would ever have. 15 minutes of this would have way more impact than a smartphone for a year or so.
We're in trouble then.
So, no, I don't think we're in trouble. I think that people need the information, and I'm glad you asked that question.
It was proven ineffective. Was it?
Well, what do you mean it's proven
I don't know. This is Facebook.
Yeah.
We go by facts.
Yeah. Well,
these are people anonymous that just gives a question and you don't have to see them face to face.
So it's been ineffective in certain jurisdictions because they were not used properly. Like in Ontario and other places.
Ontario, my God.
They were not as effective because they didn't provide the information to the customer.
Okay.
So, but today the technology is ready. And we have ways to communicate with customers two-way so that they can actually understand what they're consuming, whether they do it during peak or off-peak.
Okay, what does he do, that's you, to earn such an enormous salary, and what does he deserve it? Why does he deserve it?
As you know, Charles.
Don't hit me.
As you know, Charles.
I'm just a messenger here.
I'm a simple guy from a small place.
Yes, you are.
And I don't discuss my salary. I mean, this is something that my board, will
You think you deserve
decide.
It? What you do?
Well,
just to be with me. I mean, that deserves how much?
Oh no, it's fun to be with you, Charles. I wouldn't need to be paid to be with you, Charles. But when you have a nuclear plant, and when you have the response we have. These are the salaries that are given for these jobs, and actually in many other jurisdictions they pay 3 to 4 times what I'm paid. But you know what? I'd rather stay here in New Brunswick. I love New Brunswick. I want to work for New Brunswickers, and I'm serving New Brunswickers.
Yeah, and you do a good job.
And I think I understand that people that don't make as much, so I want to do the best job I can to serve my customers.
Just for the record, you used to have black hair and lots of hair, right? Okay, so that rests my case if you deserve the salary. Okay, 3. Why don't we put cables underground like Europe? Cost payers and it costs a lot of money for repairs. Why don't we put it underground?
So the underground cable, okay, it's possible, but it's about 10 times more expensive than overhead. And during storms, especially when you have the danger of many flood zones in New Brunswick, and the areas that gets hit the hardest during ice storms are actually along the coast. If there's any danger of flooding during Hurricane Sandy,
how would that work?
Well, that's it. It's very hard to make them completely sealed, and these were the latest customers recovered in Sandy storm in New York. They were down for 6 weeks.
Wait, on New Jersey, on Europe.
Yeah.
The cable.
Well, when you have the density, when you have these big condos and you have these big buildings, you can afford to do it underground.
So
but when you have, you know, in New Brunswick, a lot of rural customers, you know, we have more poles than we have customers.
We have more poles than customers. Yes, we're a small city here. I mean, small province, and it is a city.
And even the city, so, you know, there's many American cities, and definitely many European cities that are bigger than the 750,000 customers we have in New Brunswick.
I was going to say, how many customers in New Brunswick?
750,000 people, 345,000 customers.
Oh, is that all?
That's it.
Oh my God! When can we get rebates for solar system in our house?
Well, you're not getting rebate today, but we have net metering, so we're able to actually we are allowing you to actually we'll store it for you, meaning that if you produce more than you need, we'll reserve them for you, and you can have them back in the winter time. And by the way, at the same rate, which is actually a deal, because the winter energy cost is way more expensive than the summer energy cost.
Smart meters safe? We already had that.
They are very safe.
Very safe.
Very
100% safe.
Well, they are safe as they can be.
6. Why are we so often powerless and easily? Why is it so often we're powerless and so easily? I don't understand the question really.
I think in general, you know, when you have these big storms, it really shakes everybody, you know, including my own families, my neighbors. You know, we were hit by some pretty strong storms. But every storm, we are improving the system. We're continuing to cut more trees. And by the way, all these weaker areas of the grid, we cut a lot of trees in the last 7 or 8 days. Like, we cut a lot of trees, and that will make the system stronger.
Odell Park, is there a lot of trees in Odell Park? But that will be out of your area.
Yeah.
There's no power line in Odell Park.
No,
there's no power line?
I'm not sure. I mean, you know the grid, that's good, probably.
I would say something politically, but I'll shut up. Okay.
Well, I'm not a political guy. I'm running the utility. So
you're not like Michel Cartier. Don't answer that. Don't answer that.
I answer my own questions.
Don't answer that. Okay. By the way, you were at the legislature when Higgs was sworn in.
Yeah, we were invited. Like, actually, all the Crown Corporation.
All the Crown Corporation.
You know, which indicates that the new premier wants to work with all of us, which is great.
What's the easiest premier you ever worked for? What besides Sean Graham?
Well, so far the easiest has actually been Premier Higgs. He seems to really want to work with all us, and I saw him. I heard him in the media last week, and he was certainly very supportive of our teams and the restoration efforts. So that's great.
Did you see the interview, me and him?
No, I didn't see that one.
I'll send you.
Send it to me.
It was just like Chicken John. It was funny. No, he is. He's sincere.
Absolutely.
He's sincere.
Absolutely.
I translate. Never mind. Okay, never mind. Being focused here. Is there any smart meters around?
Yes, there are smart meters around. We have, for instance, industries. Like you know, we are measuring demand on industries, and we've used some relatively smart meters over the years. These are I'm going to say the latest technologies, and those ones we have to make a case to the regulators. And these will not be put in service until we go back to the regulator.
And you are going to be back?
Oh, yes, we're going to be back. Yeah, I think the regulator, by the way, in their decision, said that, you know, they support the Energy Smart New Brunswick program that we have in place. They were just questioning the timing, and so we will, and the business case, which we are, by the way, adding more values to smart meters. For instance, in the storms, okay, we'll be able to reduce the restoration time by having exact timing on when.
There we go. Are there any rebates for days without power? There we go.
Well,
smart meters with
no, but the rebates for you know, we do not charge when you're not using power. So therefore, there is, you know, but people would rather be charged a fair rate and have power. So. But we don't give rebates simply because, you know, when we don't deliver the power, we don't charge you anything for it.
So, okay. When are we going to stop spraying the power lines? Is that where Chris Austin is going to come in the action?
Well, as far as the spraying, you know, we're using, you know, herbicides that are regulated.
Read by Health Canada.
Yeah, and
Brian Gallen said the same thing. Look what happened to him.
Yeah, but we, whatever, we're not experts at the products. We are letting the Department of Environment and the Health Authority to determine.
Answer the question. Are we going to continue spraying?
Well, we're going to continue.
What did we do in the old days? Get the people, the Acadiens, the axe. Yeah, we used to do that.
Yeah, but some experts will also say that mechanical harvesting is actually doing some damages too, because you're leaving
the noise.
No, the noise, but also to get there. The heavy machinery, you do a lot of damage to even get to the place where you need to cut the trees.
It's a touchy issue.
It's a touchy issue. It has some labor implication. It has some cost implication, and and we certainly are working with the safest products available.
Did anybody froze last winter? I think anybody been cut off? I remember we talked about that 2 years ago, last time we did this, and you told me nobody got cut off because they couldn't pay the power bill.
Yeah, no, in the winter time, from late November to, I'm going to say late March, we have the longest period where we cannot disconnect due to freezing conditions. So, we are working, disconnecting one of our customers is always a last resort. So we work with them, we work with arrangements, and in the winter time we simply don't disconnect.
How many people working on your call center here? People that cries and call and say...
Well, the people in our call centers, we have about 100 people.
They're heroes, huh?
Yeah, they're heroes during storms. I mean, they are, helping customers. It's not always easy to get the right information. But, we get a lot of positive feedback too. You'd be surprised, the very positive comment we got, from our customers. And yes, when we can't tell when we have power, there's a lot of people that want to plan around that and when I'm going to get the power. But, when you recover 99% of the customers within 3 days of restoration, and we had over 100,000 customers out, I think that was a pretty good success. And the customers really appreciated it.
I wonder what would have happened if Hydro-Quebec would have took over.
Well,
I'm not
going to speculate, but I can certainly tell you that New Brunswick Power management team and employees are all committed to serve New Brunswick and the best way
it's pretty scary.
All the time.
Sorry, I just got a flashback here.
Yeah. Well,
Sean Graham, just Hydro-Quebec, saying we'll cut off your power. Okay, Charlie, focus. Okay, why is my power always more and not less?
Why is your power more and not less?
I think it means less money.
Yeah. Well, cost of living has gone up over the years. Inflation goes up every year.
Capitalist system.
And well, the result of the inflation costs are there. But also, we're doing more, for instance, on tree trimming, and we put more investment on the maintenance of the lines and so on. So we've increased our capital costs to make sure that our grid is more resilient. And our customers told us they wanted a resilient, more reliable grid. With the stronger storms, we have to do that.
Does he regret shutting down the Dalhousie plant?
Well, the Dalhousie plant, this is where I started my career up north in New Brunswick. So there's always some regret personal because it was, my friends were there. I started there with my employees. But in terms of a business decision, it was the right thing to do. Cost of heavy fuel oil was not competitive long term. And now that we're going to face, carbon or climate change issues, it was still the right decision to do.
Why isn't there a better cutting around wires? Was that word?
Prophylactic?
Yeah, prophylactic.
Prophylactic.
Hey, Mr. Englishman here. That's all right. You know what that means?
Not sure, no.
Me neither. Okay. I don't know. Excuse me, when you ask these questions, I'm not a genius. I'm a social assistant at Mathieu Martin High School, and I'm supposed to understand.
You're a very smart guy,
yeah,
Charles.
Exactly. We'll cut that off. Okay,
I was told by some folks that you're a genius.
Oh, yeah, genius, all right. Yeah, if I was, this used to be Brown. Yeah, some genius.
Maybe you work too hard.
Yeah, maybe I should relax. Just I gotta take my rip. I can smoke marijuana now. It's legal, and maybe I could just lay back. You smoke marijuana? Don't answer that. Okay.
Never did. Never will. Never did.
Different track of the. Oh, that's right. You drink. You drink. Okay, that's right. We drink the old beer. Stop looking at my questions.
It's your choice, but I've chosen not to.
Oh, don't drink, no smoke.
Well, I'll have a glass of wine.
Well, of course, the salary you make, of course. And what kind of wine we're talking about? How much difficulty? How much difficulty is NBPower having to maintain power?
Well, we are doing a reasonable job. We can always do better. We're learning from every storm.
Political answer.
I can tell you every year, every storm, we respond better.
Does Mactaquac Station dump industrial waste into the St. John River? What kind of question is that? I don't expect you to say, yes, we do.
Well, no, we don't. I mean,
why would you?
Yeah.
Your name is not Mr. Irving. Your name, don't answer.
No, but we have collection system. We have oil retainers. We were building some reservoir to take up oil. So yeah, maybe there was some incidents in the past, but we've taken steps to ensure they don't occur.
What was the last incident?
I can't recall.
The way you look at him is trying to say, "Come on, get me the hell out of here. We're almost done." No, are we doing good? We're doing perfect. He smiles. I don't see him smile. I don't see him smile too often. We must be doing real good.
I think.
Look, Charles, these questions, if they're, if your friends on Facebook have these concerns, I'm glad that I can help.
So-called friends. Friends. Tell him to give their line people a raise.
Well, look.
When was the last time they had a raise?
Well, they've had raises.
Stop looking at my question.
Every year they have raises. Okay. And
how much a lineman makes an hour?
I can't remember, but
I mean, you can't remember. That's you're the CEO.
Most linemen today will make over $100,000 with the overtime, and so they do very well. However, you know what? In storms, like I agree, everybody agrees, they're not paid enough. I mean, these are very tricky, risky situation to go restore power during storms. So we treat them well. I believe they treat our customers very well as well.
Was the last person got killed on the job? I'd seen in Miramichi where the hydro thing, there's an electrician they have a little memorial there.
Yeah.
An electrician got killed there.
The last that of NBPower, I believe, was in early 1990, 92 or something like that. And it was a lines worker.
Where was it?
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't have the details. I don't want to speculate on that.
No,
yeah.
That's all right. But, just came out of my head. And we have these idiots, I will say it again, idiots that climbed the tower in St. John for fun, 2 kids.
Well,
I mean, they're lucky they didn't get killed.
They're lucky that they didn't get killed, and you don't have to touch the wires to get killed. That's why during storms we keep reminding customers that when the wires are down, you should leave them alone, be 10 meters away from them, because you never know. You could have induction. That's a way to carry electricity without touching wires. But there could also be a generator, like somebody could have a generator that backfeeds into those lines.
Does NAFTA affect local price in terms of unfair competition?
Well, in terms of the NAFTA or the New Deal, which is called USMCA, I think, or CMA, the New Deal is actually doesn't touch electricity. So the energy transfers between the two countries will not be affected, or there will be no tariff on them. So we basically didn't have any change as a result of the changes that were negotiated with the federal and the U.S. government.
You have an opinion on Trump?
Everybody has an opinion on Trump, but I'm going to keep it for myself.
You had better communication before Trump than now?
I'm not going to comment on Mr.
That's
Trump.
another political answer. Boy, no wonder they pay you that high salary.
I'm not a politician.
What kind of wine again? No? Okay. Are there any moves to bring a smart grid to New Brunswick? What's a smart grid?
Well, smart grid is actually a grid where the customers can be integrated, meaning that when they use electricity, they have the information required so they can actually manage the peaks on and off to help us avoid costly generation, like fossil fuel, expensive diesel plant in the middle of the winter. So smart grid basically manages the information two ways, not only from the generators to the customers, but the customers' actions. They can be offered program, for instance, to reduce the demand or the load during peaking periods.
When are you done?
And that's why we need smart meters, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When are you done minus the golden parachute?
What do you mean by a golden parachute?
I think it's an exists bye-bye, au revoir, cash golden parachute.
Look, I'm still young. I still have a few years to go.
You know, this something about Facebook. This I know this person's name.
Yeah.
How about I give you, when this is done, I'll give you his name, then you can cut off his power, or maybe you can jack up his power.
I don't use the power as a.
No,
as
you don't want to use the power, the real power.
No.
Why would he ask that?
Charles, come on, you know me better than that.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have to ask that, but you know that's what he asked. So anyway, those two big First Nations sold the dam. I don't know what's going on there. Can you explain to me the dam and two big First Nation, what's going on there?
Well, I can't get into details of that because it's
there's only me and you. There's only me and you.
Yeah, but this is public now.
There's only two people.
And so there's discussions. But you know, the dam in Tubik has been built in the 50s.
I've never been in Tubik.
You never been in Tubik? I've been there twice. You know,
just twice.
Meet the town council
I hear it's
and
nice.
people. Very nice
beautiful.
people.
And beautiful place.
And beautiful place. You know, they are really taking you know, their own place in
okay,
their
explain
hands.
to me. What's going on with the dam?
So, well, there's a dam inside their reserve territory, and according to you know, long discussions, you know, that we didn't have the rights to build there at one point. So that's being debated. In the 50s.
In the 50s?
Yeah, so I mean, this is, you know, things were done in the 50s different than they're done today.
Is there a lot of power? Yeah, of course. Is there, we recognize the natives
it's about
now compared to the 50s?
So there's two units, about 10 megawatts total, but it can go down to, you know, it's a run off the river, so it's about 10 megawatts of power, total peak.
Does the native profit from that, or just NBPower? How does that run?
Well,
if you're allowed,
I can't get into the details of commercial contracts.
Okay, that's it. Commercial contract with who?
Well, with our customers.
Who's a customer there? That would be the natives?
Yeah, it'd be First Nation.
No, just ask me. I got natives. There are natives on Facebook now.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, no.
I'm friends with Chief Ross and Chief David Peter Paul.
I met Chief Ross.
Chief Gabby.
I met.
No, we you know, they're very good people. They you know, they want their rights and they have, you know, we're into the Willistic people territory here.
Yeah, and they're very, very. You know what I learned about the natives? I learned that at Shell Gas. I interviewed them. Yeah. I asked them a question, and you know what they do?
No.
I asked a question. I had to wait for the answers. They think before speaking.
Yeah, they do.
I think especially me, could learn from a native friend to think before speaking.
We could all learn from that, Charles.
Oh, yes. Why do we have so much power outage? Can you explain that quick?
Well,
I think we went
climate change, we went through that. I think it's the same question. You know, again, you know, the intensity of the precipitation, higher moisture in the air, and obviously a lot of trees in New Brunswick. Did you know we have the highest population of trees per square meters or per square kilometers in North America?
Really?
We have a lot of trees in New Brunswick.
Even though Mr. Irving never cut all the trees?
We got a lot more trees in New Brunswick.
You know where I was? I was in Saint-Quentin.
Yeah.
A few
I know where Saint-Quentin. Yeah.
I've never been there. And they got this big paper mill, Savoie.
Yeah, Groupe Savoie. Very impressive operation.
Did you see the trees behind?
Yeah.
Oh, lots of big operation there.
It's a good, large industrial customer for New Brunswick Power. And also, it employs a lot of people in that region.
Where do they get the power from?
They get from NBPower.
I know, from where? From Matakwatnam? How does that work?
All the different generation interconnect each other, and they connect on the transmission system. It gets distributed. So nobody gets, you know, electron from Point-le-Pro or Mactaquac or a wind farm. It basically got all mixed, and you eat, you know, you receive the electrons from all these generation sources.
How many percent going to the States?
Right now, probably not very much.
Really?
You know,
Why?
well, because we need it all in New Brunswick. Like, we sell to the States sometime in the summer, but when you start picking up load at this time, we have 2,000 megawatts. the grid will mostly supply New Brunswick power.
Did we make a lot of money during the last flood, last spring?
Well, we didn't have a lot of generation during the last flood.
But the Matakwai Dam.
Yeah, but what happens when the downstream get almost as high as the upstream, and we have to open the spill gates, so that we don't end up with overflow, there's a lot of actually wasted energy. And when the downstream gets up, the differential in the head is so small that it doesn't generate as much power. Sometimes we even have to shut some of the hydro dams.
Wow. Can we know how much he makes a year? What kind of wine do you drink? No? No, okay. I want to see what kind of expensive. That's what they asked a year, so I said it got to be expensive wine. Can we know what kind
of that's the same question, you know.
Yeah, I know, but I tried to bring a different perspective. What kind of wine do you drink?
Normally red.
No, but what I mean, the salary you make. I mean, it's like the Dynasty. Remember Dynasty? I know Charlie Marjamount. Okay.
None of those.
Last question. Wine. Okay, not expensive.
No.
No. But which one?
No.
No. So I just want to send you a bottle for Christmas. My God, if it's cheap, maybe I could have my Facebook people. The interview was so good, we could send you a bottle of wine. Red wine. We got that. Okay. Last question. Why would me bill go up $100 per month from the winter before, and I use less power? Does that make sense?
No. Typically, if you use less power, your bill could not go unless you have a large commercial. Now, it's not impossible that there was a 2 months, because we've estimated a bill and we estimated too high, or there was, during a storm the meter wasn't read. There could be some situation like that, but our rates only went up by 0.88% last year, and the year before 1.6%.
Do you?
So on the same power consumption, your bill could have gone up by, let's say, if you're $500, it could have gone up by $10 a month, not $100.
Do you like Robert Jones?
I like all reporters.
I knew you were saying that. Another political answer, but
I like all reporters. They do their job.
Robert Jones. What do you think?
I like him.
Like him?
Yeah.
You didn't say that like you meant, you didn't say that like you meant.
I like you more than him,
like
but I like him.
If I was on your ass every goddamn week about every bit of NBPower, you wouldn't like me. You wouldn't be sitting here like this every week.
But reporters do their job.
We have reporters here.
And well, you're a reporter.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
okay.
I think you're a reporter.
Oh yeah, we try.
Yeah,
we try. At least in here, there's no editing. That is the secret here. Yeah. No editing.
Look, Charles, I mean, I've known you for a long time. You want straight answers. I give you straight answers.
And the Facebook wants straight answers.
And I give you straight answers on Facebook too. And I appreciate our customers. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone that asks you a question there is a customer of NBPower.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
You want that?
So they want an answer. I gave them the best answer I could give them today.
The guy that said the golden parachute. Do you want his name?
Well, I think we should keep that private.
Keep that private. Okay, we're not going to cut off his power.
No, we never do that.
We never do that.
We never do that.
Okay, la dernière chose is all over. We don't do that. You have any last thing you want to say? Go ahead. Look, it's all yours. Anything you want to say to the people is all yours.
Well, Charles, I always appreciate your candidness. We want to be open and transparent. We understand that when you have these events, that our customers have demonstrated a lot of patience, and they were very understanding. We really appreciate when you reward the crews. You stop them, you say thank you. I mean, the crews were telling me, like, people were bringing coffee, they were bringing donuts. We get a lot of appreciation, and our team is working, basically 7/24 during these storms, and making sure that everybody is restored. And we never stop until every customer is reconnected. We commit to you, our customers, to improve our grid, to continue to spend on tree trimming, and we need your collaboration to ensure that those trees, especially in the back lot, they need to be cut. And we're looking at expanding the right-of-ways in the back lot to ensure that a 20-30 foot tree doesn't come in contact in the line when you have another storm like this one, which we know we will have other storms.
There will be other storms. How many? How many can we handle?
Well, we can handle all of them. but we need to take precautions, and we also want every customers to be prepared for 72 hours. We actually have, we on our website, we have, instructions, what do you need, batteries, flashlights, radio, basically food and water.
And the weather to know perfectly where the weather's going to be.
Well, we continue to monitor that to make sure that we are ready in the hardest hit areas in the province.
Isn't this better than putting just a camera in your face?
I actually like it better because we can talk,
communicate.
We look like we're friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And we are.
So what kind of brand of wine again? The red wine? We're going to give you, it was so good, we'll give you that for Christmas.
We'll stick to water.
Or stick to water. Or red wine, we don't know what kind it is. Merci beaucoup, all good.
Merci Charles.
À la prochaine.
À la prochaine.